Hey folks, this is Mike with the Quality Sportsman. I just shot an awesome two-gun event at my home range here in Western North Carolina, and I wanted to tell you about it. I normally don't do strictly match footage only videos, but a lot of people are telling me, Mike, you're talking too much. Let's see some action. So I wanted to put this one together for you. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before we get into it, I ask that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. The channel is growing really fast, and that's awesome. That will help me to put more time into it, grow the network, and bring you better content each week. All right, so yesterday was the Carbine Crusher at VOD Tactical, Virtue Defense Tactical, here in Old Fort, North Carolina. That's about 20 minutes this way, I think. Not too sure. But that's my home range. That's where I shoot at all the time. When you see videos of me shooting with that long skinny range that goes up the hill, that's where I'm shooting at. It's owned by a guy named Frank. He's really awesome. You know, he's an old crusty Marine, so he's giving us young Army guys crap all the time, and I love it. You know, the match was put on by Frank and Tim, and they did a great job at this match. This is my favorite match that I've ever shot. For a couple reasons. One, partly because they set the tone going into it. They said, hey, this is not going to be a match where, you know, we're picky with toes over the line and things like that. Come out here and have fun. It was a pretty low cost event for us. I'm not sure how they even made any money or even covered the cost of the event with the match fees. So that was awesome. And for me, it was a perfect mix of, you know, really what I would call like tactical shooting, you know, quick engagements, you know, short to mid range, some long range stuff as well. But you know, it really was a what I would call like a tricky event. The range complex is a little bit smaller and tight because we are nestled here in the mountains of Western North Carolina, you know, near Asheville, and they really thought outside the box with how to set up the barricades that we're shooting from and the targets to really make it tricky on the shooter to get into different positions. You know, sometimes you had a choice to be standing with, you know, on a barricade, rested or side rested on a barricade with only a sliver of a target in the woods that you could barely see because it was in the shadows, or you had to, you know, get to some other funky position to see more of the target. We shot some stages where you couldn't see all of the targets from one position, so it forced you to move a couple times. And there were some stages where you really had to plan your time out because even though the par times for this match was 180 seconds, which is longer than normal, because it was a two-gun match, there were some stages where I felt like I shot really well, but I still didn't even finish in time. In fact, there's one stage, and you'll hear me brag about this a couple times because I'm really proud of it. There was one stage where I came in 4th overall and 1st in my division, and I still didn't even finish that. So, you know, it was really fun. It really forced you to think on the clock, a little bit of stage planning, but it was very low stress and a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and start talking about the different stages. There were 5 different stages. I have a little bit of footage from each one. It's not just me shooting. It is a few other people on my squad shooting. You know, and my first point is, guys, that the channel is called The Quality Sportsman. And that is not just me saying I'm a quality sportsman. That is the idea that we are all quality, raising the bar for how we treat people and how we represent the sport. I saw that out there firsthand. Everybody that was on my squad was super neat. A lot of guys that I never met, really nice. Just getting to talk with them, getting to share different, you know, experiences and perspectives, talk about gear, you know, pick their brains. Some guys that shot like smoked everybody on one stage. I got to ask them, hey, you know, how did you do that? You know, what were you doing here? How did you plan, you know, if you're going to have your scope zoomed in or not? So things like that. It was really a fun event, getting to talk to a lot of good shooters, getting to see some newer shooters out there as well, see them work through it. So overall, great event. Let's go ahead and talk about the first stage. All right, so the first stage was interesting, and unfortunately I didn't get a ton of match footage. I always I'm kind of hesitant to start videotaping because I am superstitious and I feel like if I turn on the camera, I'm going to do terrible or something's going to go wrong. So I got a little bit of footage of Frank, the owner of the range, shooting this one. What you'll see is he's walking around some water tanks that are in metal cages. There were some targets up in the trees and we had to shoot them from right side of the water tank, right shoulder, and the left side from left shoulder. So this means that everybody that shot the stage was forced to shoot offhand, which was really tricky, especially the way that they had the frontmost water tanks positioned. You couldn't just get up there and brace up on the corner and pie around it. You had to kind of do this wonky thing where, you know, some people were just resting their elbow on it. Some people were, it was a little trickier than it looks. So I'm sad I didn't get video about that. You'll see Frank coming around and then shooting from the barrels where we had to engage the same targets from the left side of the barrel, underneath the barrels, and the right side. And then they had this really cool thing where for the rifle, before transitioning to the pistol, there was always what they called a high value target. And that means you got one shot, one kill, and you had to make it count. So you'll see Frank dropping his magazine and taking one shot at a very small paper target. Although it was very close distance, you know, a lot of people were missing that because of height over bore. I've talked about that in previous videos. If you're doing a lot of close range engagements, you got to remember that your sight, you know, can be mounted, especially in these tactical applications. Your sight can be 2.5 inches over your bore. And, you know, if you're zeroed at 100, anything less than 100, you're going to have a gap there as basically your point of aim is, you know, not yet crossed your point of impact. So that got a lot of people. And then there were a few pistol engagements. The dueling tree is tricky. It's small targets. You can't just hit it. You have to flip it to at least where you can't see the blue anymore. So this was a really fun stage, that stage one, that really got us shooting offhand to begin with. There was some more of that later in the day. So let's go ahead and see how Frank finished up on the second half of the stage.
What side of the barrels? Here's your point, Keith. 7.5, I think. Getting old sucks.
All right, let's go on to stage two. Stage two is interesting. As we were walking over, I thought, oh man, I'm going to absolutely crush this one. I saw a big tire setup, and the shorter guys were going to struggle to get on top of that tire. Let me explain a little bit about the stage and why it wasn't as easy as it looked. Okay, so there were 5 targets in the woods, and you had to engage each 5 targets in order from left to right, from the left side of the tire, from the white section of the tire, either on the top or on the bottom through, and then from the right side of the tire. Then you had to move to the VTAC barricade and engage all 5 targets left to right from the slant. Then you had to drop down to a scare and engage 3 small targets called throoms, which are very small little, not type of sure what kind of gel plastic it is. Bullet just goes straight through it. You barely see it move. At such a close distance, that was really tricky. You know, I had 3 hits all in a row, which was good because I was thinking height over bore, and I think a lot of people struggled with that. Then when you were done with that, you took your high value target shot, with your rifle and then ran up to the pistol. Now this pistol was very tricky. You had to shoot, there were 3 targets, left to right, you know, small poppers on the fringes, and then a full-size IPSC in the woods, back maybe, I'm not sure, 25, 30 yards. It looked easy to start, but the stage brief said shoot it once normal, shoot it once single left-handed, and once through single right-handed. And guys, I never practice offhand single just with my left hand, and this stage ate my lunch. I just got to the last target when the buzzer hit at 180 seconds, so I had to take a penalty there on missing that target. But this stage was very tricky. A lot of engagements, and from the tire, you could not see all those targets. Due to these targets being in the woods, you could not see them all from any one position on the tire. So you kind of had to shoot the left targets, shoot the bottom target going up the hill, and then drop down very low on the side of the tire to see the middle one. You couldn't even see it. So it was very tricky. You had to do that from 3 different positions, and plus the VTAC barricade. The good news is once you got to the VTAC barricade, you did have to cant your rifle so that your scope could see while your barrel is through the canted slit. You could see all 5 targets from that position, even if you're just shooting like the right edge of one of the IPSCs up the hill. The pistol, again, absolute nightmare for me, left-handed, very shaky, very hard. You'll see even once, and I'm kind of embarrassed to even put this, but I don't cut things out. I tell it like it is. You'll see once where I had a quick double tap. So since I'm not very dexterous on my left hand, I, you know, actually almost cut my finger off filleting a fish one time. I was trying to find that trigger reset, which is basically muscle memory for me on my right hand, strong hand, but finding that trigger reset point, you find that reset point before you aim or while you're close and while you're aiming, and then as soon as your dot is there, you break the shot. I basically had a double tap, so glad they didn't call me for a, you know, unsafe act or anything like that, but you'll get to see it. So let's go and watch me shoot stage 2.
Right, yeah, and sport hand has to be in contact with the tire.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
Ready.
Stand by. In the white.
I'm left-handed and it even fucking.
Are you left-handed and shoot?
You shoot right-handed? Yeah. What do you shoot pistol left-handed? Yeah. Interesting, yeah. Everybody shoots a rifle left-handed. It just plain sucks.
Through the square, through the square.
I see it. Okay. See one side, all white. All white, one side, all white.
What's the time? Hit!
All right, now I'm going to show my new friend Tyson shoot the second half of stage 2. You'll get to see somebody else do it. He actually finished in time, so good job, Tyson. Well done on that left-handed pistol shot. Thanks for showing guys like me who don't do that often how it's done.
Loaded up and you're ready to fire? Alright.
Yeah, man. Okay. I'm happy with whatever. Okay. I asked somebody to do it on stage 1.
I think there's one more. Like this is perfect. I almost
Well, you can move around behind me too, as long as you stay behind the arm.
Yep.
All right, on to stage 3. Stage 3, I know I keep saying that. Stage 3 was awesome. It was tricky, and I'll tell you why. The course of fire was that you had to go up to a very sturdy kind of window setup, and you had to shoot from right of the window, inside right of the window, inside left of the window, and then left of the window. And your rifle or support hand had to be touching the upright part of the window. You know, depending on whether you're a right-handed or left-handed shooter, there was always some tricky position where to get your rifle to touch the window, you kind of had to brace up in a weird way. There were 4 targets up in the woods. They said the name of the stage was Farther Than You Think, and I think that got some people. They went, you know, probably from about 75 yards-ish all the way back to about 200. And what made it challenging about that is you're not in an open field. You're looking through the woods with kind of patches of light and dark. A little bit hard to pick up those targets, especially if you're later on and like I was, and they start getting more gray because all the white paint is getting shot off. So you had to shoot 4 of those from 4 different positions, run over to this wobbly culvert that was standing upright and engage 3 small rifle poppers. And by the time I got to those, I was last in this stage. I couldn't see them at all. They were completely gray, and I thought I was crazy. I was asking Frank, who was RO, I was like, are there targets there?
Middle,
you know?
there's a middle.
So that was a little embarrassing after a while. I kind of just shot at what I thought I saw was gray, and actually you can see them a little better on the video for some reason. I don't know if my glasses were fogged up, but that was tricky. So I lost some time there, got the shot off on the high value target, and then you had to dump your gun and run up to the barrel and engage all pistol targets from left to right. That I did pretty well. For some reason, I had one target that I couldn't hit. I always start off hitting my targets well with pistol. Then I get so excited that I'm hitting them, I try to move faster, and then, you know, I get humbled on one target that's further away. So all in all, I had a pretty good score on this stage. Let's go ahead and see me shoot it.
Stand by. Hit. The middle, there's a middle one. Hit. Right over. Hit. 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 Hit.
All right, on to stage 4, and this is where we started getting into some longer range engagements. I got really excited for this because that's what I like to do. If people ask me, I say, hey, I'm a long range shooter, although that's hardly true compared to some of the other awesome shooters out there. So I was really excited for this. Now, if you've seen my previous videos, you know that I built a specific long range AR, but I did not bring that. I chose to bring the 5.56 FN TAC 15. This is a 16-inch, standard size M4 style carbine. And I love this gun. For this match, I knew there were going to be a lot of shorter engagements. I knew we were going to be throwing a lot of rounds downrange, so I kind of wanted to save money by shooting cheaper ammo. And I also, I'm always defaulting to more long-range calibers for long-range shooting. I really wanted to challenge myself to see if I could shoot out to 600 yards with a 5.56 with an LPVO. I was shooting in the DMR division, which only allowed a 1:8 optic. I was shooting a Strike Eagle second focal plane LPVO, which, check my videos here in the next week. I'm comparing that with an Arkin Optics EP8 LPVO to see which one I like better now that I've shot each of them in a match. But that was, I think that was actually the perfect setup for this. But I really don't have a lot of practice shooting that at long range. So I felt like I was still learning the gun, still learning the reticle. I was going off of the BDC reticle and not using my Kestrel to figure out my dope. So I did really well on this stage. This stage was called Log Jam. The challenge with this stage when you're shooting from a big fat log like that is you really want to push your rifle far up on it so that, put a bag on the log, jam your magazine well, barricade stop up into that. But when you have something with a fat log profile like that, you cannot get that standard sturdy barricade type rest. So this is one of my favorite gear tips of the day. I took my own advice from a previous match and I bought a 60 round drum, and that actually allows you to, the Renault magazine capacity restrictions, that allowed me to load 60 rounds, and it's actually shorter. I think it might be close to like a 30 round magazine, but it's definitely shorter than a 40 round straight magazine. That allowed me to get closer up on the log, and I felt like I had a really sturdy position. I did try like the big pump pillow. That didn't end up working, so I just looked like an idiot carrying it around, not using it. But we all had a good laugh at that because I told everybody, I said, I don't care how stupid I look. I bought this thing, I'm gonna use it. So while I think there are applications for that, I wasn't able to figure it out under the clock. I did really well on this stage. There were 5 engagements that ranged from 100 yards, 6-inch plates, a couple of 300-yard targets, and then a 450 and a 550. And you had to shoot those through twice from 2 different positions on the log, and then twice through on the tank trap. Now this was the stage that I did really well in. Listen for the hits and see if you can figure out when I'm hitting those targets. I did really well, but I kind of had to walk my rounds on target. So I put a lot of lead down range on this one. You know, people were very congratulatory. I think I was the best in the squad. Like I said, 4th overall and 1st in my division. So obviously I shot that pretty well, even though I didn't finish it. It was a lot of long-range engagements for one stage. I still felt like I didn't really love my system, and I wasn't really sure where I was hitting. You know, I'm used to spotting my impacts through larger scopes. I was struggling to spot them and adjust tactfully. I was kind of just winging it on the, you know, Kentucky windage. But I was able to quickly get on target, which is the whole point, and I had a very successful stage. I got all the way to the tank trap and then started to work back through, but didn't quite finish in time, which is a shame. So let's go and take a look at stage 4.
Shooter ready?
Ready.
Stand by.
I just restarted.
Hit! Hit!
When I went from the 450,
Hit!
I had 2 hits in it.
Hit!
Third because nobody called hit.
Hit! 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 Hit!
Hell yeah. Hit! Hit! Hit!
Hit! Hit!
On the drum. Hit! Hit!
Hit! Hit! Hit!
All right, so now after stage 4, I was really confident in my long-range shooting and maybe a little too overconfident, and I totally got crushed on stage 5. Stage 5 was interesting. It was a Punisher stage where if you missed a target, you had to come back and hit a Punisher target before you went back to re-engage. There were 7 targets in total, I think. There was 100 and 150 real skinny targets, a 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 600-yard target. You had to engage all of those in order once, and then you had to come back and spin the spinner. I'd never shot a spinner before, and it's really challenging doing with 55 grain, 5.56 bullets. Shout out to Brian, who was out there with his AR-10 6.5 Creedmoor. It was really awesome to hear that hard steel smack at about 70 yards or so, and watch him spin that spinner a lot easier than we did. He deserved it. He slung that hog around all day for a lot of quick, shorter engagements. So good job, Brian. So we're going to get to see him do that. And then we're going to get to see Frank shoot his stage. He had first round impact on every single target up the hill and never had to come back and shoot the Punisher target. And that made a huge difference versus me. I was, like I said on the previous stage, I was kind of walking my rounds on target. That obviously, was a struggle for me on this stage. I'm glad I don't have video of it because it was painful. I did not finish. I just got to the spinner and made that spin in time and then ran out. I didn't have time for the HVT or the pistol targets. So let's go ahead and see Brian spin the spinner with his AR-10, and then we'll go ahead and see Frank with his awesome stage first round impacts, being real tactful on those shots and making sure he didn't have to come back to the Punisher target, and that served him well.
Hit!
Oh, yeah.
Shit!
No damn wonder. Shit. 3 hits.
Hey!
9-7.
Yeah.
It's 2 for 2.
Hit!
I got it. This is me. Yeah, one more. No pressure.
Get my belly back here where I can use it for support.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dang. That's what I did wrong.
Man must live on a range or something.
Yeah. High value.
Get in there, you bitch.
Come on, Frank.
Woo! All right, so that's it for this this video and this match. Overall, I did pretty good. I shot 18th overall, and out of about 60 folks, and that put me 6th in my division. So I was pretty happy. You know, I can sit here and say, oh, I wish I'd done better on this stage and this stage. But ultimately, the guys that come out on top, they're able to be very consistently, you know, sharp in each stage, and you know, you can't really mess up any single stage out there and expect to come out on top. I learned a ton. I really enjoyed meeting a bunch of new people, especially in my home area. So guys, thanks for making that a good experience. Again, thanks to Tim and Frank for putting on the match. It was really awesome, and you guys delivered on the fun experience. Finding a way to be safe out there but have fun is always challenging to do, and you guys did it. I'm really looking forward to next match. I think the next one that I'm shooting out there is going to be Proving Grounds in July 13th. So I hope to see you guys out there. All right, well, my mic just died, so I guess I've been talking long enough. Let's wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time on The Quality Sportsman. Thanks.